In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the design process for this camping chair, outdoor chair. It's made out of pallets. We're not going to make our chair out of pallets just because I don't like the process of reclaiming pallet wood. So what we're going to do is we're going to design this chair, but we are going to just use um, fence pickets. Okay. And there is one thing that does, just looking at the picture, there is one thing that does puzzle me a little bit because these types of chairs are pretty commonplace. I mean, you've seen various styles. I've never seen one quite like this. This design kind of appeals to me. I just like it. I don't know why. But one thing that is a little bit odd to me is this back tail, if you will. Um, with that back tail like it is, this piece would not slide out of this other piece. So I don't know. I don't ah okay folks. Okay. Look at there, my engineer brain just went boop boop. I see what's happening here. All makes sense to me now. Okay. So the way this works is it folds up beautifully. Okay, I get it. All right. So these three boards, you pull it out and basically just fold it up. Boom. So what that does is that stops on the back side here. And then these are on the bottom and they'll eventually so those will just sit on here. Duh. So in other words, the two pieces actually don't need to come apart, but it could still fold in half. Beautiful. All right, so there are lots of questions, though. Simply looking at a picture is not really telling me a whole lot, number one. And number two, I'm really concerned about the amount of weight that this can hold. So that's a concern. The other thing, just looking at this picture, I have no ideas about angles or anything about really the configuration of this, okay? So one concern that I have is how much weight is this bad boy going to hold? Um, and that we'll just have to test. Uh, I'm a big guy. And really my purpose of making these is, first of all, I think it's a cool design. That's step number one. But so I just think it's got a cool look to it. But really, my idea here is really not for me to use this chair. It's really for my kids. And and I definitely, I mean, I'm almost 1,000% certain that it'll definitely hold the weight of a kid, even a big kid. Now, will it hold 300 pounds? That I couldn't tell you. Um, I could tell you just from an engineering standpoint, it probably would hold that kind of weight. Um, but honestly, I really don't know until we actually put it to the test. So, our first step really is to make a prototype and kind of go from there. So, what kind of material do we want to use? Well, I know for sure for my prototype, I want to use a fence picket because they're really cheap. I have lots of them on hand, so they're cheap. And then once I've kind of proven the design, then if we wanted to, we could make it out of pine, which would be regular 3/4 inch pine, which would be a little bit more heavy duty. Um, at my local, we're going to be using 5/8 of an inch thick fence pickets, which again I know will hold the kids. I don't know how much weight it'll hold, but it'll hold. It'll definitely hold the weight of my kids. Um, so I'm not concerned about that. But at my local Home Depot, they do sell a cedar that fence picket that is just slightly more expensive than the treated fence pickets, and they are only 3/4 of an inch thick, so they're a little bit thicker. So they would obviously hold more weight as well, possibly even. Okay, so with that all said, where do we begin with the layout? Well, let me just. So what I did, I've never made one of this style chair before. I've seen them. I thought, hey, those are cool. This one, I'm in love with now. Now that I know that it can fold completely flat, that's pretty cool. The other ones, you actually have to take the two pieces apart, spin them around, and put them back together. Not this one. This one, you just pull it out, fold it flat, you're done, you're gone. That's cool. That's really cool. Um, Now, again, we'll have to see it in action. But based on this picture, that's a pretty cool chair. All right, so where do we begin? Well, first of all, our fence pickets are when you get a 6-foot fence picket, about 70 inches of it is usable because remember the top is dog-eared. So what I'm going to say, so usually what I say is 34 inches. So that's what we're going to make this chair. We're going to use 34 inches and see what we get. Okay. Now a fence picket's 5.5 inches wide. So we're going to split it right down the middle. So the width, we're going to set it to 2 3/4. All right. Now, where my tushy goes, right here. Okay. How wide is that? Now in the picture, I can just tell by looking at it. I would imagine that this frame was kind of your standard width. If you look in the background, you can see that pallet there. Um, so standard width of a pallet board, which is probably 4 inches. So that's probably 12. So they're using basically 3 pieces of pallet wood. So for what we're going to do though, is again, remember our fence pickets are 5.5 inches wide. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that the width of this is, let me go with 15 1/4. Okay. So that 1/4 inch is going to give us just a little bit to play. So there we go. So we're going to offset this 15 1/4. And again, this is just a prototype, so we can, make some adjustments if we need to. But we're just kind of, at this point, we're just trying to prove the concept, okay? Now, I will tell you this. And you could just see proportionately, this looks considerably wider than what we're looking at in the picture. And I will say this. So I may change my mind before I even get going. I will say this, though, that most of these chairs are not that wide. Most of these chairs that I've seen designed, that seat is about 12 by 12 at best. Most of them aren't quite even that big. So that's why you see the proportions a little bit differently, but that's what's cool about building our own chair. We can make it whatever we want. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna make a chair like this and just see what we get. Okay. So there we go. We've got our two horizontal pieces. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one, or vertical pieces rather. I'm making a horizontal piece. So, and it's real important for this chair to fold. It's real important what side's up. So let me give these some color. Boom. And let me give this a contrasting color. And this has got to go to the back. Okay. And I think what we're going to do for our second one, because we don't know what that distance is, we're just going to do the thickness of a pallet board and like such. So that gap is 2 3/4. 2 3/4, 2 3/4, gap is 2 3/4. Now again, I don't know how well that will work, how that's going to hit our back necessarily, but that's what I'm going to go with. And then you can see here in the picture, there's one on the front and run just below that, just below the seat there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and come down here. Boom. Now, here's the thing. What height is that seat? Now, I don't know. I don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to base our design off of something else I saw. And they used 11 inches. So I watched another video, similar style chair, and they used 11 inches. And so that's what we're going to use too. So that 11 inches will go right to that, just like so. Okay. So if you look at this, we've got this piece, we've got this piece. That's those two pieces. Now we don't have that piece yet, and we've got those two pieces. Okay, and that's what we want. So now let's move over to our side view, and let's change our width to 5/8 of an inch. And then let's go ahead and take these pieces and make those 5/8 of an inch. And then we could just slide these pieces right over here. That takes care of those two. And then we will make these two, again, paying special attention to which side these two pieces are going on, like such. Now, what we don't know is where that piece goes. That piece that's on top of the seat. So that's something that we're going to have to calculate and figure out. Okay. And so the way we're going to do that is we're going to copy this piece over. We're going to go ahead and rotate it. And then what I'm going to do is determine how far out I want that seat to be. Now, again, most of those seats, and we're going to be able to see some concerns here in a moment, but most of those seats are, the out is not that big, 10, 11 inches. And I want a deeper seat, I think. I don't know. I've never made one. So I'm going to go ahead, make a copy of this, and I'm going to set it to how big I want it, how big I think I want it. And that's 14 inches. Again, I don't know if that's really viable, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a moment, but that's why we're going to build a prototype, and we'll make some adjustments as we need to. So I can't say for certain. If we look at this design, this and this does not look like it's a 90-degree angle. So, and honestly, the slope of our back looks to be pretty significant. And, you know, I don't know that I personally would like to sit that far back necessarily. So I don't know what that angle is. I have no idea. But again, I was watching some other videos, and in a lot of cases, not every case, but in a lot of cases, this was at a 90. And again, once we make the prototype's only going to cost us like probably not even $10. Like literally, it's going to be stupid cheap. So if we don't like the proportions, we don't like how it sits, then we can change angles and things, and that's why we work it out on the computer. So for right now, we're going to leave it at that 90. I suspect we might change that, but we'll see. So now that we have our 5/8 inch piece here, obviously we have our wing. So let's go ahead and this is the wing that will actually stop. I'll show you how this rotates here in a moment, but that will actually stop and lock in our design, our seat when we flip it in the upright position. Now, as far as these two pieces right here, that's pretty easy. So we're just going to take this piece right here, put that one there. And if we look here, you could tell the width of that is about probably 4 inches. And so that's 8, 9, 10, 11. That probably sticks out 10, 11 inches, something like that. It probably doesn't stick out very far. And there we go. So we'll put one there, and I think that's going to work out okay. I really do. I'm just sitting here trying to think in my head, is that going to conflict with anything? And I don't believe it will. So then what we do is we just take this and move it right up here. That's it. That's it. That's all we do. And so then there should be enough distance between those two to fold it up. So what we're going to do is we'll draw a little square there, and that will be our rotation spot, I believe. I don't know. So I think that's essentially the configuration that we're looking for. Now let's see if I'm right. Let's see if this will rotate like we expect it to from that center pivot point. So we're going to select all of our pieces, and we're going to move our center pivot point to the center of that and just see, watch what happens. So we're rotating, we're rotating, we're rotating, and yes. So what I wanted to see, and obviously, just from an engineering standpoint, that's in a locked position, essentially. And so when we spin it at that pivot point, it should be perfectly fine. We should be able to pivot that. Watch. Right when we get close. But look. See, there's still a gap there. So we should have no issues having enough space to pivot. Yes. Boom. That's in the upright position. But obviously, now that it's in this position, this can move up and down wherever we want it to. No problem. There's no conflict with these bits here and this tail, which is down here. There's nothing conflicting where we can't just. I just moved it though. So if I take this, now I screwed it up. Let me back up here. Somehow I screwed it up because I moved the center pivot point. But let me go ahead and pivot it back up. Boom. And then we could take, well, somehow, look at that. We're off. I don't like it. We're off by that much, and I don't know why. Let me go to wireframe mode here and double check it. I guess our center point was off just a hair. But at any rate, doesn't really matter. What my point was is we can bring this up here. Let's go back here. And so the two can fold up flat together, and away you go. And you're off camping. Okay? So that will definitely work. No problem there whatsoever. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of slide this over here, and then what we're going to do is just rotate this so you guys can see this. So we're going to position this corner right here on the guideline, move our rotation point down there to that pivot point, and boom. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. I have some concerns, and apparently it's not much of a concern because every other iteration of this similar type design, they were all kind of this way. And by that, I mean your bearing weight is going to be right here at this point. And so it's going to bear down, and so you're going to have this leg and this leg. This leg, I would presume, would not hold quite as much weight as the back leg. So this is where my concern. If we have a failure, that's where I'm afraid it's going to fail, right there. Now, there's some things that we could possibly do to, now, mind you, I don't know. There's some things we could possibly do. I think if we possibly were to add one here that would tie all three of them together, you'd have less chance of a failure that way. But doing that, we're going to be somewhat limited when we on the closed position, because then that block will conflict with that. Okay, so I don't know. Like I said, the purpose of the chair is for the kids. Promise you, this will absolutely hold the weight of the kids. That's a given. So I'm not really that concerned about it. But the other, if I did have one other consideration, and again, until we actually sit down in the chair, we don't know. Because that's so deep, I wonder if the chair is going to tip forward because we're going to put weight. We might just the way we sit on the chair, we might our initial weight might be right here at the tip, which would have the chair being tilted forward. But um, but so I don't know. I think if this wasn't out so far, then no, then our weight would be more towards the back here where there's a leg to support us. So that's a concern. How much out do we have here? Is that even comfortable? And does it have a tendency to tilt our chair forward? So those are all questions, frankly, we got to answer when we put the prototype together. So, and just so you know what that's almost 30 degrees. You're tilted back. And here's the thing, that's not a crazy number because a lot of your Adirondack chairs are about that 25, 30 degrees. So I don't know. It may not be that crazy of a plan. So this right here, let me, and then we got to go 0.625, like so. Push that down. Okay, so that is our configuration for the back frame. Okay, and then so our front frame configuration is this and this. So we will have to make our front frame configuration still. Okay. So what's that going to consist of? Well, remember we went with 15 and a quarter. That's what we're going to try. So you see that there, 15 and a quarter. So what is our front frame configuration going to be? So it's going to be 5. So we're going to take our fence pickets and rip them to 5 inches wide from 5.5. So boom, 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 like so. And then I am going to offset that to 2.75. This one and this one. And then we are going to have our rear tail come over here. So we're going to do that. We're going to stretch that to there and this to here. So that's going to be our rear tail, and that is going to sit on top. And then we are going to have this page down. And then we know that we are going to have this at this distance. So from here to here is going to be 13 3/8. So that's perfect. So what I would do then is take this, well, let's go 13 3/8 and push this back. And so we know now that this has to go boom right there. Okay. And this has to go on the down low. All right. So let me clear out some guidelines so we have a better view of all this. So hopefully that all makes sense to you and how all this is going to go together. So now let's just go ahead and put in some dimensions so we have a nice cut list when we go. And this is going to be really, well, first of all, it's going to be a really simple build. And I like I said, I don't think it's going to cost a lot of money. Because I don't think it's going to really take that much material to do this. So let's just go ahead and set this up real quick. So I like putting in these dimensions. So that's 20 3/4. This is going to be our 15 1/4. That's just going to give us a 1/4 inch play side to side, just a little bit of room side to side. And let's go ahead and make a note that all parts are 2.7 inches wide. And then we'll set that to 180. Whoa! 100. I guess I got my caps lock on, but that's okay. Okay, we can select all that and toggle our case. There we go. So all parts are 2.7 inches wide. So that will help with that layout. Now there's still more dimensions we need, because we need this dimension from here to here is 5.5. This program is nice, but its dimensioning capability, not that great. But it gets the job done. And so we're just going to have to pay attention. We know that's 11 inches. And then our next dimension, that should be 11. Well, it'll be more than that. It'll be 11 plus 5/8 plus 2 3/4 is 14 3/8. There we go. So now we know the location of all our pieces front and back. We know that this top one's flush, the bottom's flush. That's 11 inches up. And on the back side there is 14 3/8 from this end. So we have all those dimensions we need. Now let's move over to our what is going to become our seat. And we know that, let's do this. Let's copy over our text. And we'll just make us a note. Red parts are 2 3/4 wide. And I guess yellow. We might differentiate that, because to me that's not yellow. That's gold. So we'll make them yellow. There we go. Yellow parts are 5 inches wide. And then we can dimension. So we need 3 of those that are 20.5 inches. And then this is 15. And then this 13 3/8. Clear as mud? So that should give us all, I'll just double check in here. Why? Okay, why is that? See, we got a little discrepancy. That's 20 3/4, and this is saying, oh yes, yes. So this really should be 20 3/4 as well. My bad. Let's make that. And that's because we added a little bit, we added a 1/4 inch. So remember, our parts are only 15, but then we added a 1/4. So yes, those should all be 20 3/4 as well. So there we go. It was just a minor little thing. So yes, those are all 20 3/4. Okay. So let's go ahead and maybe just kind of. So that's that. This is going to be so fun to do, I think, and it's actually going to be really useful. We go to the beach a lot, living in Texas, right there at the Gulf of Mexico, and so these would be really good beach chairs to have. Get us up off the sand, really lightweight, and I definitely, like I said, I'm really eager to try and put them together with the fence pickets, because I really think it'll hold a fairly considerable amount of weight. We might have to make a few adjustments to the angles, to how far the seat sticks out and some other things. But I think we have a great starting point. That's going to be it for this video in terms of the design process. Now, definitely in the video description below, if this turns out, if this makes it to YouTube, in the video description below, we'll have the link to the full actual build video of us actually putting this together. Okay, so look for that, and down below in the description, and come along this ride with us, and we'll see what we've discovered.